Ginni Thomas, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, agreed to get questioned, voluntarily agreed, by the January 6th Select Committee, and she walked in to do that today. So this is a very big moment and interesting stuff going on there with the January 6th committee, and hopefully we'll get some insight into what the heck she was doing, because we got those texts that came out of her messaging, again, the wife of a Supreme Court justice, messaging people all in Trump's orbit saying, come on, we need to overturn the 2020 election. We need to keep Trump in power. And all of these Democrats are going to get put into a barge off the coast of Gitmo or whatever. Very, very bizarre theory she has in her head. She's clearly a full-on right-wing conspiracy theorist. And so one of the concerns is she's someone with some level of influence. She has the connections because of her husband. But then also it makes you wonder, how much is Clarence Thomas not able to see these issues in some sort of an unbiased manner as a Supreme Court justice? And he was one of the people who voted with Donald Trump on a very big case, while the rest of the Supreme Court went the other direction. So you see why this is a concern, and it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. So reading from the Associated Press, conservative activist Virginia Ginni Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, appeared on Thursday for a voluntary interview with the House panel investigating the January 6th insurrection. The committee has for months sought an interview with Thomas in an effort to know more about her role in trying to help former President Donald Trump overturn his election defeat. She texted with White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and contacted lawmakers in Arizona and Wisconsin in the weeks after the election. Thomas did not answer questions when she arrived, and we'll look at that entry in just a second here, on Capitol Hill for the interview, or later when she briefly left for a break. But she did tell reporters she was looking forward to answering questions from the members of the committee. So that's good. She's not going to just sit down and plead the fifth. That makes sense, because again, it was voluntary, but it was something they've been seeking out for a while now. And so it's a moment that she finally agreed. And as was highlighted in that article, she was really trying to do stuff. She was trying to make plays. She was reaching out to state lawmakers to encourage them to go against the will of the people and keep Trump in power. As I remind you, and then we'll look at this clip right after, we cannot get numbed out to how absolutely bat blank crazy this moment is, right? We cannot get numbed out to the fact that the President of the United States, the allies around him, including the wife of a Supreme Court justice, were doing everything in their power to keep that president in power, even though he lost, to go against the will of the people, to overturn a free and fair election. We cannot forget how wild that is. So then here is Ginni Thomas entering and getting asked some questions, but choosing not to give any specifics.
Ms. Thomas, why do you feel like you need to speak to the committee to clear your name?
Thank you for being here.
Did you speak with your husband of your beliefs of the election being stolen?
Thank you for your question. I look forward to answering the members.
You need to speak to the committee to clear your name.
Okay, little weird vibe there, to be honest. She kind of blankly smiled at the camera, but that's her prerogative. She's allowed to not answer questions when reporters ask them. But again, it will be interesting to see what comes out of these interviews, and hopefully, eventually, in some way or another, people like her will be held accountable. We can't live in a country where there's this number of people and this significant of people being proudly against our democratic process. And again, I'll say, I go back and forth on certain individuals, right? Oh, are they lying because they want a certain ends and they don't care about the democratic process to get there, and they're trying to go to some political outcome, right? But they know in their heart of hearts that the election wasn't stolen. And I tell y'all sometimes, I don't know if this person's delusional or dishonest, right? Ginni Thomas, guys, I am convinced is just delusional. This isn't me just trying to insult her. I'm being 100% serious. If you read those texts, she is full on in private, bought into these conspiracy theories. And it shows you, and this is the saddest part, that the social media echo chambers and algorithms that people go down, those rabbit holes that people go down, and a lot of times the people we think of when we think of that phenomenon are kind of your average voter who's just kind of scrolling through Facebook and getting propagandized. But there's some equality there as far as social media mental manipulation goes, because Ginni Thomas, someone who's very influential and very prominent, also, I truly believe, got sucked down those conspiracy theory pipelines, those conspiracy theory rabbit holes, and genuinely believes the wacky stuff that she talks about. Super sad. We'll be following this as it develops. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support what I do, as well as get access to the full show, all of the stories hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus a weekly bonus show, you can go to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley.